Let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. How much did your school teach you about money? I'm not talking about counting coins in the second grade. I mean the real stuff. How to build wealth, how to escape debt, how credit actually works, how to make your money grow while you sleep. If you're drawing a blank right now, you're not alone. According to a major national report, 87% of American adults say high school did not leave them fully prepared to handle money in the real world. That means almost 9 out of every 10 people walked across that graduation stage, diploma in hand, and had no idea how to manage the one thing that would control almost every decision they'd ever make. And it shows. Right now, the average American household with credit card debt owes over $11,400. Total U.S. household debt has crossed $18 trillion. Over half of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. And here's what really stings. 1 in 3 Americans has more credit card debt than emergency savings. This isn't a coincidence. This is a system failure. And today, I'm going to teach you what that system refused to. Let's start with the biggest lie you were ever told about money. You probably heard it from a teacher, a parent, or a guidance counselor. It goes like this. Go to school, get good grades, get a degree, land a safe job, and you'll be fine. That advice made sense in 1975. It doesn't make sense anymore. The cost of college has increased over 1,200% since 1980. Meanwhile, wages have barely kept up with inflation. So you've got an entire generation doing exactly what they were told, following the playbook step by step, and ending up buried under $56,000 in average student loan debt with no savings and no plan. The playbook is broken, and nobody handed you a new one. So let's write it, right here, right now. The first money lesson school skipped is this. There's a massive difference between earning money and keeping money. You can make $80,000 a year and still be broke. You can make $45,000 a year and slowly build wealth. The difference isn't your salary, it's your system. Most people operate without a system. Money comes in, money goes out. There's no strategy, no structure. Here's what a basic money system looks like. Every dollar that hits your account needs an assignment before you spend it. You need to know where your money is going, or it'll just go. Think of your income like water pouring into a bucket full of holes. Unless you plug those holes and direct the flow, the bucket stays empty no matter how much you pour in. This is budgeting, and I know that word makes people cringe. But budgeting doesn't mean you can't enjoy your life. It means you're choosing your life, instead of letting random expenses choose it for you. A simple approach. Take your monthly income, subtract your essentials like rent, food, transportation, insurance. Then, assign a specific amount to savings, debt paydown, and, yes, things you actually enjoy. The moment you give every dollar a purpose, you take back control. Here's money lesson number 2 that nobody taught you in school. Debt is not neutral. It's either a tool or a trap, and most people are living in the trap. Let me explain. There are 2 types of debt. The first is debt that puts money in your pocket. A mortgage on a rental property that generates income. A business loan that funds something profitable. That debt can work for you. The second type is debt that takes money out of your pocket. Credit card balances. Car loans on vehicles that lose value the moment you drive off the lot. Buy now, pay later plans on things you didn't need. The average interest rate on credit cards right now is over 20%. That means if you carry a $5,000 balance and only make minimum payments, You could end up paying back nearly $10,000 or more by the time it's done. You're literally paying double for everything. That's not convenience. That's a financial trap with good marketing. And here's what your school definitely never told you. The companies that profit from your debt spend billions every year making sure you stay in it. Credit card companies, lenders, and buy now, pay later apps don't make money when you pay things off quickly. They make money when you stay stuck. So, how do you get out? You pick a method and commit. One popular strategy is the avalanche method. You list all your debts by interest rate, and you throw every extra dollar at the debt with the highest rate first, while making minimum payments on everything else. Once the top one is gone, you roll that payment into the next highest. Mathematically, this saves you the most money over time. Another approach is the snowball method, where you pay off the smallest balance first for a quick win, then build momentum. Either way, the key is this: you need a target, and you need a timeline. Without those, debt just sits there, growing. Now let's talk about the third lesson school never covered, and this one might be the most powerful of all: compound interest. Here's how it works. When you invest money, you earn a return. Then you earn a return on that return, and then a return on that return. Over time, your money starts growing faster and faster, like a snowball rolling downhill. Let me give you some numbers that will change the way you think. If you invest $500 a month starting at age 25, with an average return of 8%, by the time you're 65, you'll have roughly $1.7 million. Now, if you wait just 10 years and start at 35, same $500 a month, same 8% return, you'll end up with about $745,000 by 65. That 10-year delay cost you almost $1 million. You didn't invest less. You didn't earn a lower return. You just started later. That's the price of waiting. And this is exactly why they should have taught you this at 15 instead of making you memorize the periodic table. Not because chemistry doesn't matter, but because understanding how money multiplies over time could literally change the trajectory of your entire life. You don't need to be rich to start investing. You can begin with $50 a month, $25 a month. The point is to start. Time is the ingredient you can never get back, and it's the one ingredient that makes compound interest actually work. Now, here's money lesson number 4. Your credit score is your financial reputation, and almost nobody explains how it actually works. Your credit score affects what interest rate you get on a car, whether you qualify for a mortgage, and sometimes even whether you get hired for a job. It's one of the most important numbers in your financial life, and most people have no idea how it's calculated. Here's the basic breakdown. About 35% of your score comes from your payment history. Do you pay on time? That's the biggest factor. Another 30% comes from how much of your available credit you're using. If you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you're carrying a $9,000 balance, that 90% utilization is crushing your score. Financial experts recommend keeping that number under 30%, and under 10% is even better. The remaining factors include the length of your credit history, the types of credit you have, and how many new accounts or inquiries you've recently opened. Here's a quick move most people don't know about. If you have a credit card and you pay the balance down before the statement closing date, not the due date, the closing date, your utilization reports lower to the credit bureaus. Same spending habits, better score. That's the kind of knowledge that separates people who struggle with credit from people who use it strategically. All right, money lesson number 5. This one is uncomfortable, but it's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you financially. Not the government, not your employer, not a lottery ticket. The responsibility falls on you. I don't say that to be harsh. I say it because the sooner you accept it, the sooner you start building. Waiting for the right time, the right salary, or the right opportunity is just a dressed-up way of doing nothing. The people who build real financial freedom don't wait for perfect conditions. They start messy. They learn as they go. They make mistakes and adjust. And that brings me to something critical. Financial literacy isn't one conversation. It's a lifestyle. It means reading about money, listening to content like this, asking questions, talking to people who are where you want to be. It means being uncomfortable enough to look at your bank account, your debt, and your spending habits honestly, even when the numbers hurt. Only 19% of American adults say they took a personal finance class in high school. That means 81% of us were left to figure it out on our own. And that's reflected in the data. Gen Z has the lowest financial literacy rate of any generation at just 38%. Not because they're not smart, but because nobody bothered to teach them. But here's the upside. You're watching this video right now. That means you're choosing to learn what the system didn't teach. And that single choice puts you ahead of most people. Now, let's get into money lesson number 6, because this one is a silent killer that almost nobody talks about. Lifestyle inflation. Here's how it works. You get a raise. Maybe you go from $50,000 to $65,000. And what happens? New apartment, new car payment, nicer restaurants, better clothes. Within a few months, your expenses have risen to match your income, and you feel just as broke as you did before the raise. That's lifestyle inflation. And it's the reason people who earn 6 figures still live paycheck to paycheck. It's driven by something psychologists call social comparison. You look at what your coworkers have, what your friends are posting online, what your neighbors just pulled into their driveway, and you feel like you need to match it. That pressure is real. But here's the part nobody tells you. Most of those people are broke too. They're financing a lifestyle that looks impressive on the outside, but is held together by minimum payments and stress on the inside. The wealthiest people in America don't play that game. According to IRS data, the average millionaire built wealth through consistent investing over time, not flashy spending. 8 out of 10 millionaires invested through their employer's 401k. 3 out of 4 said the key to their success was regular, consistent investing. They didn't get rich overnight. They got rich by keeping their spending flat when their income went up and putting the difference to work. So the next time you get a raise, a bonus, or a tax refund, try something different. Before you upgrade anything, route at least half of that new money into savings or investments. Let your future self benefit from the raise, not just your present self. And that connects directly to money lesson number 7. You need more than one source of income. Period. Relying on a single paycheck is the financial equivalent of putting all your eggs in one basket. If that basket drops, everything breaks. According to research on self-made millionaires, 45% had at least 4 streams of income. 29% had 5 or more. Over their lifetime, most built up to 7 different income sources. Now, that doesn't mean you need to run 7 businesses starting tomorrow. It means you should be thinking about ways to diversify where your money comes from. That might look like investing in dividend-paying stocks that send you a check every quarter. It could mean starting a small side project based on a skill you already have. It could be as simple as putting money into a high-yield savings account that earns interest while you sleep. The goal isn't to hustle yourself into the ground. The goal is to build a financial foundation where losing one income source doesn't mean losing everything. That kind of security doesn't come from earning more. It comes from building smarter. And here's one more lesson school completely ignored: the emergency fund. A recent survey found that 43% of Americans don't have enough savings to cover a $1,000 surprise expense. Think about that. A flat tire, a trip to urgent care, a broken appliance. One unexpected event, and almost half the country is either borrowing money or going into debt to handle it. An emergency fund isn't optional. It's the foundation everything else sits on. Before you invest aggressively, before you make extra deck payments, before you do anything else, you need a cash cushion. Start with a goal of $1,000. That alone puts you ahead of nearly half the country. Then build toward 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Keep it in a high-yield savings account where it's accessible but separate from your daily spending, so you're not tempted to dip into it. That fund is what stands between you and a financial disaster. It turns a crisis into an inconvenience, and it gives you the breathing room to make smart decisions instead of desperate ones. Let me give you something practical you can do today. Pull up your bank statements from the last 30 days. Look at every transaction. Add up what you spent on food outside your home. Add up subscriptions you forgot about. Add up those small purchases that felt like nothing at the time. Most people who do this exercise for the first time find between $200 and $500 a month in spending they didn't realize was happening. That's not a budgeting problem. That's an awareness problem. And awareness is the first step. Now, take that number, whatever you found, and redirect even half of it. Put it into a high-yield savings account. Put it toward your highest interest debt. Put it into an index fund. It doesn't matter which one you pick right now. What matters is that you break the cycle of unconscious spending and start making intentional moves. Here's the truth about financial freedom, and it's simpler than most people think. It's not about making a fortune. It's about building a gap between what you earn and what you spend, and then putting that gap to work. That gap is where your future lives. Every dollar in that gap is a soldier working for you, fighting for the life you actually want. School gave you a lot of things. It taught you how to solve for X. It taught you about the mitosis of cells. It taught you about the War of 1812. But it didn't teach you how to build a life that isn't controlled by financial stress. And that oversight has cost millions of people years of struggle, anxiety, and missed opportunity. But it doesn't have to cost you any more. Not after today. If this video gave you even one idea that shifted how you think about money, smash that subscribe button. Frankie Finance is your channel for real, no-fluff financial education that actually moves the needle. Hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. And drop a comment below and tell me, what's one money lesson you wish you learned sooner? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.